Hi guys, welcome to today's video, and for today I'm going to be reacting to 10 WWE wrestlers who felt uncomfortable in their TV relationships. Ooh, which brings the question, do you think Dom, Liv Morgan, or Rhea Ripley, or any of them got or felt uncomfortable doing all of this relationship thing or the triangle on screen nowadays? Let me know in the comments what you think.
Will you marry me?
What? I just need some time, but I love
Her
you.
brother.
10 on-screen romances that made WWE superstars uncomfortable in real life. Number 10, Kane and Kelly. Now in late 2008, WWE began yet another storyline revolving around Kane and a potential romance. This time it included Kelly, and the story focused on Kane firmly believing that Kelly was in love with him. Kane would cause havoc until Kelly confessed her love and even kidnapped her at one stage. The chemistry between the two was completely flat, and the idea behind the storyline was clearly to get Kelly over and to give Kane something substantial to do. Kelly would ultimately reveal that she had feelings for Randy Orton, but this went absolutely nowhere. This was a storyline that WWE dropped within a matter of weeks, and it was never mentioned again. Number 9, Jeff Hardy and Trish Stratus. When delivering an on-screen romance, it's sometimes apparent that one or both wrestlers involved are uncomfortable with what's happening. This was unfortunately the case in 2001 when WWE started an on-screen romance between Jeff Hardy and Trish Stratus. Hardy just looked like he didn't want to be involved in any capacity, and according to WWE executive Bruce Pritchard on his podcast, Hardy was uncomfortable and Vince McMahon just wasn't feeling it. Jeff was uncomfortable with it. Trish was always game, man. She always had ideas and she would listen and she would try pretty much anything. There wasn't a whole lot of chemistry there, and Vince looked at it and was like, not feeling it, next, move on. Nobody was going to buy that because there wasn't any chemistry.
Bro, why don't they like first test it and see if it works before they put it on the screen and in front of everyone? Couldn't you just see immediately that there was no chemistry there? It's ridiculous that they had to actually make it first towards the audience to see if it's working or not. Like, bring your friends, make them look like they're the audience there, bring them in the ring and try something out. But don't do it. Don't test it on the fans. Because they will remember.
WWE without a doubt made the right call in scrapping the storyline, as wrestlers should never feel uncomfortable delivering an on-air character. Number 8, Ric Flair and Lacey Evans. Vince McMahon had penciled in Charlotte Flair versus Lacey Evans for WrestleMania 37, and to set this match up, Evans would begin a bizarre on-air relationship with Ric Flair.
Oh my God, with her
this
father!
was truly atrocious television, as the chemistry was non-existent, and this wasn't what anyone wanted to see at the time. The pairing even made the Nature Boy completely uncomfortable, as according to the man himself during an interview on the MMA Hour, the pairing between he and Evans just...
Brother, he was uncomfortable. The same guy who kissed Becky Lynch, he was uncomfortable.
This wasn't a good fit. In this instance, I didn't feel comfortable. It didn't make a difference. One thing I've learned is that you're not going to win a war when someone has their mind made up. Charlotte most definitely didn't like it. She, Lacey Evans, is a Marine, and we can't give enough back to the people who have served.
I guess because his daughter
wanted her to be successful, and the way to be successful sometimes is to take two other people who are doing well and give them the rub. She's a nice girl, but it didn't fit. We made the best of it, and ultimately, she's pregnant now with her husband. It was never anything personal. I barely know her. As alluded to in Flair...
Wait, why did he mention that? Why did he mention that she's pregnant with her? Like, why?
Flair's comments, Evans would end up taking time off due to a pregnancy, and WWE would go in an alternative direction with the WrestleMania match card.
Because
Number
it was
7,
at the same
John
time,
Cena
probably.
and Eve Torres. One of the top storylines on Raw in early 2012 centered around John Cena, Zack Ryder, Kane, and Eve Torres. Kane was trying to make Cena's life a living hell, and Ryder and Torres were often casualties of Kane's rampage. Ryder and Torres were together as a couple on screen at the time, and this fell apart when Torres and Cena kissed in a backstage segment. It looked like this was going to plant the seeds for a Torres and Cena relationship, yet ultimately it just allowed WWE to turn her heel. This was the right move, as whilst Torres was talented, the pairing alongside Cena felt forced, and it lacked any sense of authenticity.
Dude, that's
Number 6, Buddy Murphy and Aalyah. The feud between Seth Rollins and the Mysterios escalated to the next level when Rollins' protege Buddy Murphy began a relationship with Rey Mysterio's 19-year-old daughter. This was just weird, and both of the individuals involved evidently had reservations regarding the fictional on-screen romance. According to Murphy, during an interview with Chris Van Vliet, he felt uncomfortable with the kissing aspects, and he simply proceeded because he was just doing his job. I wasn't comfortable kissing Aalyah. I did that because it was my job and it was going to create more drama.
I mean, this is the state also with a lot of actors and actresses on movies. Like, they do it because it's a part of the job, and as actors, they have to convince us that they are in it. but privately they probably are not.
The story. Seth was nervous about it because this whole storyline rides on this one kiss. I'm uncomfortable and
The
she's
whole
new.
story's
We're
on a
out there
kiss.
and about to cut the promo, and I said to her this needs to look good. If you have any second minds, I'm giving you the green light. Do whatever you want. It's 100% you. Do what you need to do. This needs to look good. It looked great. The aftermath wasn't great for me. But we're both adults. We're both acting. We gave each other a high five after it, and that was it.
Okay.
The storyline would eventually be dropped, which was a common trend at the time.
Wait, Ray
Vince
allowed this?
McMahon and WWE were prone to dropping storylines with no logic or explanation. Number 5, Big Show and Joy Giovanni.
Yeah,
A
they're
former
just
world champion
experimenting.
Big Show has been involved in so many storylines over the years that it's hard to keep track. One of his more forgotten storylines saw him begin a romance with Joy Giovanni. The romance would take center stage during Big Show's main event feud with JBL,
'cause
and at one stage, Giovanni was even kidnapped in an ordeal orchestrated by Kurt Angle.
Brother.
Big Show, as he always did, put 110% into making the storyline
like a
work,
kid
but
next
Giovanni
time.
was new
I
to
mean,
wrestling, so
everybody
her
does that.
performances often came across as flat and uninspired.
Hmm.
Whilst the feud would be dropped, Giovanni has stated in interviews that Big Show was incredible to work with, which thankfully implies that the scripted romance wasn't a negative experience for her. Number 4, Bobby Lashley and Lana. The storyline between Bobby Lashley, Rusev, and Lana dominated Raw between 2019 to
She's
2020.
pretty.
The storyline received negative reviews from fans, and some consider it as a complete burial of Rusev,
Bobby.
who often looked completely incompetent as a babyface in the rivalry. Now, this type of storyline wasn't Lashley's strong suit as a performer, and he greatly showed,
Oh my
as he
God.
looked out of place, and his performances were often awkward and borderline comedic.
Oh my
With
God,
that
what the
being
hell?
said, it was hard to blame Lashley's performance, as the content of the storyline and the writing was abysmal.
Oh,
According to
man.
Lashley, he felt awkward in the role and he was unable to relax and have fun.
I can
didn't
see
understand the
that.
magnitude of it, but the one thing I did know was that I was doing something different. And you can say whatever you want about Lana, but she was 100% committed and invested in that character.
like women-
I felt awkward doing it.
I don't know why, but I feel like women are easier convinced in this, like, to play that role, especially back in the day. I feel like they wouldn't get a lot of opportunities on screen unless they would do something around this line, which is really sad. And thankfully, it's not the case anymore today.
I'm always in fight mode, but it was good to pull me out of that mode. But I needed to relax and just have fun with it. I loosened up because I was trying to entertain people. I understood that, even though I didn't originally like the idea and ended up being cool with it. It's not comfortable for me, but I understood the lesson I was being taught. Following his release from WWE, Rusev claimed that the storyline was going to lead to a WrestleMania main event for him. However, based on the fan reception to the feud, this was highly unlikely. Number 3, Daniel Bryan and Gail Kim. It's well documented just how much of a failure Gail Kim's second WWE run was. WWE struggled to book her in any meaningful way, and her on-screen romance with Daniel Bryan was a sign that her run was going to be a total bust. Whilst Bryan and Kim are both outstanding pro wrestlers, when they were combined for this romance, both looked nervous, and the fans could instantly see through the pairing.
Oh my God, look.
Surprisingly, according to Kim during an interview with 411 Wrestling, WWE officials were really happy with how the storyline went. And you know, it was a good experience in terms of having a story and being more of a, not wrestler, but character, I guess, amongst the story. People remember it, I'll say that. That's for sure. So that did prolong my time there, and I think we played that out. And it was basically like, I remember they were really happy with it. They loved the cat fights and all those things, and we had like 2 more cat fights after that backstage and in the ring. And then I got kind of replaced by Eve Torres in that storyline, and I remember just thinking, okay, why did that happen? A year or so later, WWE would try another romance angle with Bryan as he would go on to date AJ Lee, and this storyline would help push Bryan to the
Where's
next level in
CM Punk?
WWE as the two had actual chemistry. Number 2, Enzo Amore and Nia Jax. Now, WWE had grand plans for the Enzo Amore and Nia Jax relationship. Although
I can't see this, I'm sorry. All I see is her being dominant and him being submissive as F and being really scared of her. Like, he actually needs help. That's how this looks like. I don't know how it was, but that's my guess.
single segment was awkward and lifeless, WWE were going to use this storyline heading into WrestleMania 34. The initial idea was that Jax would discover that Amore and her best friend Alexa Bliss had been sleeping together. This was a storyline straight out of the Attitude Era, and it would be interesting to see the fan reception to the story. In a surprising plot twist, however, Amore would end up getting released from WWE in early 2018, and the storyline was scrapped indefinitely. Despite Amore's release, they did proceed with a feud between Jax and Bliss, and the two collided for the women's title on the grand stage of WrestleMania. And number 1, Vince McMahon and Sable. One of the most surprising returns of 2003 was the WWE
Isn't that the same woman who actually had a lawsuit against him?
comeback of Sable. Sable left WWE
But
in
she
1999
dropped it
on
because
back-
she got money. She dropped it because she got money.
bad terms, and she would even WWE comeback of Sable. Sable left WWE in 1999 on bad terms, and she would even sue the company for sexual harassment. Due to the nature of these allegations, it seemed like a given that fans would never see the former women's champion back in the WWE ring. However, in 2003, Sable agreed to return to the company. In a booking move that made fans extremely uncomfortable, Sable would take on the role of McMahon's personal mistress. This was hard to watch even for 2003 standards, and knowing what we all know about McMahon.
Exactly. The hush-hush money. Exactly. Which makes you think it really happened. I don't know. I'm not going to judge. I'm not a judge. But let's say it really happened. She got hush-hush money. And she spent all that money. And she needed more money. So she stooped so low to go again and be on the screen admitting that he didn't do anything. Although he did, because she got hush-hush money. That's terrible.
WWE won't be in a rush to remind fans of this infamous storyline. Outside of being vastly inappropriate, the chemistry between the two wasn't exactly lighting the WWE product on fire, as the storyline felt forced, and it was almost like McMahon was the only person remotely enjoying what was unfolding.
Yeah,
he
enjoyed it.
10 WWE romances that were insanely awkward. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.
This video made me feel awkward and uncomfortable. Do you know any other moment and any other relationship that you think were forced? I mean, there are some, but they didn't want to admit it. Maybe because they are still relevant today, and maybe because there was no need for them to admit how awkward it was because it was successful. Because the majority of these cases, like, it didn't work out and they scrapped it, or people got released and they didn't continue with the story and stuff like that. Bobby and CJ ended up receiving death threats for the entire storyline that ran from 2019 to 2020. That's what made the whole ordeal go from bad to even worse. Death threat for a relationship? Not even a real one, a fake relationship? Brother, that's actually terrible. I still feel bad for China knowing Triple H and Stephanie were together IRL. Man, he cheated on her. There was so much cheating there. Okay. Never mind. Moving on. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one. Bye.